everybody. Thanks for joining us here today. My name is Keith Stefano. I'm the COR Program Manager here at the Construction Safety Association in Manitoba. I'd like to welcome you to our COR Certified Companies Meeting, Fall COR Certified Companies Meeting. Before we begin, if you've not already done so, please type in your full name and company info into the chat to all participants there. This always allows us to track attendance as well as let everyone else know who is attending. Also, we will be recording this today, so just for future, so everyone can review this on YouTube afterwards. It will be uploaded, so please keep that in mind as well. And if you have any questions during this meeting, as always, we'll be monitoring the chat and answering it as we go. Here's our agenda for today. If you would like to access a copy of this agenda, as always, please visit our website, constructionsafety.ca. You'll find it under the COR program page. Introduction of CSAM guests and staff here today. I'd like to welcome Dwight Dole with SAFEWork Manitoba and Darren James from Workplace Safety and Health, who will both be given the short presentations. And here in the room with me is our Executive Director, Sean Scott, our COR Administrator, Shelby Haradaway, and of course myself, Keith Stefano, the COR Program Manager. First up, under updates and information, as mentioned, we have 4 short presentations from both SAFEWork Manitoba and Manitoba Workplace Safety and Health. Then we will be covering the 2022 COR SECOR Harmonized Audit Instrument and some staffing changes here at CSAM. So as mentioned, up first with the short first presentation is Dwight Dole from SAFEWork Manitoba. Take it away, Dwight.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. In the next 10 minutes or so, I'm looking to give you a brief snapshot of the injury stats picture in Manitoba and what's happening at SAFEWork Manitoba, and I'll throw in a few plugs at certain points. So that's the agenda there, and those are the main points that I'm looking to cover. So what you see in front of you is the overall Manitoba time loss injury rate picture. As you can see, a steady decline from 2012 to 2019. And then the trend is kind of going a bit in the wrong direction. And obviously COVID played a part, especially in 2020, 2021. Here's a plug. If you go to safemanitoba.com and search stats, there's an interactive report where you can see Manitoba industry and sub-industry stats. So if you're interested in this kind of information, go to the Safe Manitoba website and you can just search stats and you'll be able to have all kinds of information at your fingertips. So that's the overall Manitoba picture. If we're looking at the building construction subsector, you see the picture in front of you. A steady decline starting in 2013, which is great to see, and then it's plateaued the last few years. So if you want to talk raw numbers, then the raw numbers are in front of you. And it's always important, when you look at stats, especially when it comes to injuries, is that each data point is a person with a family that's impacted by the injuries. So these are the raw numbers. Obviously, they don't take into account, whether the size of the industry is growing or shrinking or staying the same. They're just the raw numbers, but it's important to remember that each number represents a worker and their family. And if we want to look at the top 3 events, this slide goes back to 2020. And so these are the 3 events that have remained at the top of the list. And obviously, as you can see, we got things headed in the right direction on a couple of them, and falls is a real focus area and something to keep in mind. These are the top 3. So there's other events and injuries and illnesses that aren't included here, and that would include exposure to substances, transportation, motor vehicle incidents, fire, explosions, and other things. But these are the top 3 injury and illness events going back to 2020. And this is the worst case scenario. When somebody dies, that's the worst case scenario. This slide is all of Manitoba. This isn't specific to building construction. It's a view of fatalities by occupation. And I think though that if you look at these occupations, they, you can, they should resonate, or they will resonate with most people, that these kind of jobs are in the building construction sector. But just to clearly state, this is all of Manitoba. This isn't the just the building construction or even the construction industry. I thought it'd be helpful though to put it up to show it, because I think these jobs, they resonate. That unfortunately we still do have in Manitoba workers that are getting killed on the job, and that's something that we want to take, and I know you join me with me on this, taking very seriously. If you look at the construction industry specifically, this is the long view of the top causes of fatalities in all construction. So this isn't just building construction, but this is the entire construction industry. And you see, the biggest pieces of the pie there. And obviously that supports all of the work that's going on with trying to really have a better understanding and stay on top of, exposures to asbestos. You also notice that falls remain on that list, because they have a very, and then obviously they have a very can have a very, serious, fatal, deadly impact when things go wrong. And there's an other bucket piece of this slide, and that would include things like machinery contact. There's other cancers in there, explosions. And again, if you go to the Safe Manitoba website and search stats, then you can find all kinds of interesting information that hopefully will be help for you as you promote safety, and as well as look at targeting certain types of events and causes to manage and reduce injuries. On a happier note, I'm pleased to say that WC support for the COR program continues, and there's millions of dollars that were paid in 2022 to incentivize as well as recognize the work that goes in by workplaces to obtain and maintain COR certification. So at a certain level, I get involved in approving these rebates, and it's always my pleasure to do that. I'll put a little plug in here, is that when you're reporting your annual payroll at that time when that happens, to also include putting in your exposure hours. One is that's a requirement to get the rebate. So you want to do that to save any extra, work of having to go back and enter those exposure hours. But it also gives better data. And an example of that is your rate statement or your rate letter is going to be coming out shortly. And on it, if you've reported your hours, your exposure hours, you're going to get a rating of how you compare with other similar size employers in your industry. And that's something that many employers find helpful, is they want to know, well, how do I compare to other employers like sized and in the same industry? How am I doing relative to them? And so there's information on that rate statement or rate letter that will a summary of where you're at with that. That's only possible if you report your hours. So that's another reason to do it, is to report your hours, to give you better data that you can use to guide your prevention efforts. Now in Manitoba, we have different strategies targeted to reduce musculoskeletal injuries, to deal with psychological health and safety hazards, as well as with worker groups that we want to put some extra focus on, like young workers. And they started out a number of years ago as SAFEWork Manitoba strategies. Now it's really pivoted that they're Manitoba strategies that all prevention partners like CSAM are working on as part of our prevention ecosystem here in Manitoba. I haven't highlighted them all, so I'll just touch on these three briefly. And one reason I do that is because I think it's really helpful when you're thinking about prevention to try and look at it at times through different lenses. It just helps you to take a different angle. So if you look at MSI and you're thinking about, okay, how do I reduce musculoskeletal injuries, lifting, repetitive lifting, or lifting heavy objects, it's good to take it from a different lens. And one workplace I visited one time, they had an interesting solution. They were not happy where they had some musculoskeletal injuries where workers were taking, the garbage bins and the garbage cans, and they were putting them overhead, they had to take them overhead, do an over shoulder lift to emptying them out into larger bins. And so they said, we're just going to eliminate that opportunity to lift those objects. So they just had it as a policy that their garbage barrels, garbage bins, uh, were all strapped on pallets, and so they could only be emptied out with a machine. So there wasn't that opportunity to do that awkward, unstable over shoulder lift. When it comes to psychological health and safety, it's something people like to talk about a lot. I would probably say the easiest way to kind of just start on it, if you're thinking about starting on it, is really creating an environment where you can talk about issues. Typically, we stuff those issues related to psychological health down, we ignore them, or just keep working and we try to distract ourselves. Uh, that isn't usually that helpful, especially in the long term. So talking about issues that are coming up or identifying, hey, is this a concern, and talking about it, that's a good approach to start with. And on the young worker side of things, the research still says that young workers are more prone than the average worker to not ask a question or just to nod their head and do the job. There's a whole part there about not wanting to, be a pain, not wanting to be a bother, they feel, not wanting to slow things down or to look like you don't know what you're doing. And so all of a sudden that young worker's doing that task different than what you have in your safe operating procedure, a safe work procedure. And it's a good thing to just keep that in mind, an extra eye that young workers are more prone not to ask questions, and they're more prone to just do the job, even if they don't quite understand the correct way that that you have outlined for how that job is supposed to be done. And if you're thinking about resources on that, I would definitely point you to CSAM's website. Lots of resources there on young workers that could be helpful for you. Campaigns. We are currently running previously very successful marketing campaign. That's the value of safe work. It's relaunched. It's going to run all year. It's going to be on transit buses, sporting events, print publications, billboards. And there's 3 different types of messages, all with the goal of promoting the value of workplace safety programs and hopefully prompting Manitobans to have some discussion and discuss and define the value of safety. They're targeted at workers, employers, and supervisors. So one of them is injuries prevented and lives saved. Another one is a workplace built on mutual respect. And the third one is protecting your people and your business. Uh, I'm very pleased to announce that on Monday of this week, October 16th, an MSI injury prevention campaign was launched. The media includes TV, radio, print, outdoor, digital, and it's based on the idea that there's still workers in workplaces that feel that discomfort and even injury are part of the job. And this results in MSI injuries. And it's important to remember that MSI injuries can lead to permanent life altering consequences that affect people's work duties and their working, their careers, but also impacts them on their personal life as well, and can really have serious consequences on that way. So the goal of the campaign is to increase awareness about the risk of MSI injuries in the job and how to prevent them. So we're hoping this message is going to resonate with a lot of people, and also hoping it's going to create some discussion as well. So that's always a good thing when there's discussion about campaigns and people are discussing what they're seeing or what they're thinking about what they're seeing. So keep your eyes peeled for these ads wherever you are. And to wrap it up, I'm hoping there's at least 1 or 2 things you can take away from this presentation, whether it was statistics or information about prevention rebate support at the WCB, or strategies or campaigns. All of these things are designed to help ensure that what I know you share with me, that all workers make it home to their loved ones safely at the end of the day. Thank you for your time, and back over to you, Keith.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Dwight. Great information. Does anybody have any questions for Dwight? Not seeing anybody typing, so okay, perfect. Again, thank you, Dwight, very much for that information. Next up is Darren, who will give the presentation, a short presentation on behalf of workplace safety and health. So take it away, Darren.
Thanks very much, Keith. Thanks as always for the invitation to participate today. And also, as always, I bring greetings from our Executive Director, Crystal Baldwin. Do I change the slides here, Keith, or do you do that?
I will advance it for you.
All right, you can go ahead. So I'm here. I'm not seeing it go. There we go. So I'm here to talk a little bit about our enforcement strategies for the current year. And I've done this presentation before, but our strategies are adaptable to current market strategies and different influencers. So this is our enforcement strategy for this year. I'm going to add into the chat right now our website address, where all of the information regarding our current enforcement strategy is posted. A lot of information there for employers and for workers. But this year, somewhat similar to the past, with some changes. We're interested this year in dealing with employers that display repeat or willful non-compliance. That's one of our high priority projects. And folks ask us, why are we performing inspections at your workplace? It may be for one or several of these factors, but that the employers that are either in repeat or willful non-compliance are on our radar, as well as employers that fail to report serious incidents or fail to notify of high hazard activities requiring notification under the regulations, such as excavations and suspended work platforms, etc. We'll spend more time with those employers. Plus our two priority projects. One's called high risk industries, which is higher than average lost time injuries amongst an industry classification. And also high risk workplaces, or workplaces within an industry classification that are performing poorly against their similar classification peers. And then in addition, we have a number of occupational hygiene related projects, such as high risk substances, asbestos, different hazardous chemicals, musculoskeletal injuries, and hearing conservation. Those are our main proactive project priorities for this year. Next slide. Just getting over a bit of a cold, so I may need to mute from time to time. So our high risk industries project is probably the one that most folks will be most interested in. We spend the majority of our time on the proactive side working in the high risk industries bucket. And this the employers in this category come from data that we get from WCB. And essentially it's industry classifications that have a higher than average lost time injury per 100 workers. And we have a trigger. Once you meet a particular trigger for lost time injuries, you become part of this project, and we plan to inspect all workplaces within an industry classification. Next slide. Here's a list of those industry classifications. So I've highlighted in red the ones that I believe are specific to the building construction subsector. And these are the window cleaning organizations, firms that install metal products, tower and energy construction, drywall and stucco, landscaping, roofing and shingling, and wrecking and moving buildings. There's a couple of other construction related industry classifications, but they're more on the Manitoba heavy side. So I won't get into those two more, but these are the industry classifications that we're currently targeting for high risk industry work. Next slide. I see there's a couple of questions. I'll definitely take those at the end. Wanted to talk a little bit about some number of inspections over the last couple of years. Folks are often interested in this. And we split our work up by quarter, and the last quarter that's reported there is quarter one, and our quarter one is April, May, and June. It's the most current data I have right now. I'm expecting the next quarterly report any day, but unfortunately it's not ready for this meeting. We did 1,517 inspections in Q1 of this year. A little higher than the last few quarters, but you can see that our work is often cyclical. It was affected pretty significantly during COVID, but we'll see an uptick in work when more of the transient type of construction on the run work starts up in spring. Next slide. This is a breakdown on total number of improvement orders issued. That top slide shows a pretty significant increase in Q1 this year. We wrote 3,285 improvement orders. We added a number of officers to our complement this spring, so they began writing inspections, and you can see down below the percentage of inspections resulting in improvement order is somewhat stable over the last several quarters at around between 55 and 60%. We use that number to determine to make sure that we're going to the right workplaces. If we were doing the majority of our inspections and coming up with no contraventions, we'd be probably going through some data to determine if we're going to the wrong places or if we have gaps in training. But we're right around historically where we'd like to be with respect to orders, improvement orders issued and overall percentage. Next slide. This is our top 10 improvement orders as of the completion of our last quarter. I would suggest that this will change a little bit now as a result of the last quarter with some differences in enforcement strategy projects and prioritizing different types of sectors. However, this is our top 10 improvement orders issued. I won't go through them all, but historically, safeguards required has always been our #1 improvement order issued since I've started working here 14 years ago. We write a lot of improvement orders for safeguards required, and that's where our safeguard is as it implies, required under the CSA 432 standard to protect workers from moving parts of machines. But there's a lot of other types of hazards in this top 10 list, and they often reflect safety and health programming. And maybe I'll leave it at that, but this list fluctuates, and we watch this list to ensure the quality of our inspections and addressing our mandate, which is to address and control high hazard contraventions under the Act. Next slide. This is a couple of slides on stop work orders. You'll see in Q1 there was a uptick from Q4 in number of stop work orders issued, again often related to the uptick in various types of seasonal construction work at the beginning of April, but it's also influenced by things like excavation work and potential risk concerning asbestos during demolition and different types of activities. 7% of our inspections resulted in a stop work order, which is on the high end of where we've been in the last while. This number is significantly affected by our by bringing on new staff. And as staff become more comfortable, we sometimes see stop work order numbers increase when staff understand the principles of imminent risk, which is required, or danger related to a job, and taking an action to stop workers from continuing to do dangerous work. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah, so the last slide there that we flew by was, forgive me, it's just letting you know where this information comes from. I know Dwight did a little bit of discussion on injury, but we use the same database that it's a WCB provided database. They call it Compass, and it provides us with a lot of injury illness information across the province in a number of different ways. I thought I would share some information, maybe subsequent to what Dwight provided, but this is the building construction classification, the building construction subsector as a whole. over the last year reported information, and it's not real specific, but it really gives you an idea or a snapshot of where the injuries are happening. This is number of claims by injury nature group, and you can see that sprains, strains, and people are always asking me, where can we apply our resources and where do we get the best bang for our buck in our safety and health programming? And something that we typically say and hear quite often is that if you're really looking to make a dent in your lost time injuries, you look at your musculoskeletal injuries, 2/3 of your overall lost time injuries are going to have a relation to a sprain, strain, or a tear, or some type of musculoskeletal injury. They're often very manageable. It's not 2005 anymore, and we're wondering where to get ergonomically friendly tools or safe work procedures to protect workers. A lot of that work's been done now. So this is a really good focus activity for an employer in bringing down those lost time injuries. But you can see how other types of injury nature make up this list. Things like open wounds and other traumatic industries and disorders is that third one, surface wounds and bruises, and you can see how they cascade down. Next slide. This slide is by body part group. Also very interesting for employers looking at applying resources to their safety and health programming, but fingers is the #1 body part group for this subsector. A lot of manual work involving hands, often preventable with simple safety and health programming to reduce the risk at the source and looking at the materials that are cutting us, but also personal protective equipment, recognizing potentially hazardous job and safe work procedures for PPE is trained and developed and enforced is always important. And then we're into back injuries, they're trunk injuries. These are the musculoskeletal injury type injuries, and down to legs and then hands and wrists. Eyes are about halfway down the list. We always see eyes as an opportunity for an employer in ensuring that their programming, their safe work procedures are reflecting hazards to eyes. But it's a good breakdown of how body parts are becoming injured in this subsector. Next slide. One more. This is injury event group. I think Dwight talked about this one a little bit in the top 3. Being struck by an object in this sector is a huge hazard. And that could be a number of things, whether you're being struck by a hammer or struck by a vehicle, power mobile equipment, struck by something. And then how the body reacts to musculoskeletal injuries or repetitive strain, overexertion, are number 2 and number 3 respectively. And then the falls, being struck against objects, falling to a lower level. You can see how the different types of injury nature contribute to your overall lost time injuries. I believe that's it. Next slide. Yeah, that's it. I wanted to get through things quick. I wanted to offer an opportunity for questions. I think there was a question about how, if I go up, there was a question about how is the average defined. Lost time injury average is a number determined by WCB, and it's determined by reportable injuries reported to WCB. And there's a lost time calculation as well as an all injury rate. This year, our proactive projects for high risk industry was factored after lost time injury rate, where in the past we had looked at all injury rates. So that's one of the changes that we made to our proactive projects this year, was to concentrate and address employers that have a higher than average lost time injury rate. But that's my presentation. Any questions? Thanks, folks. Appreciate the time.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Darren. Great information. If there's any other questions you have afterwards, obviously his email address is up there. We can always, if you didn't get that, we'll direct you to even the email address there. It's darren.james@gov.nb.ca. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, next on the our presentation here today is the Harmonized Audit Instrument. The 2022 COR Harmonized Audit Instrument is, as well you are well aware, we've really already started introducing it, and it is the transfer is basically the full transfer is almost there. November 1st, 2023 is the deadline. And that is important to remember. Anybody submitting audits, basically from that here on in, will need to use the new audit instrument. You are not, we will not accept the older version of the audit. So please keep that in mind. So just wanted to go over that and some other previous information here that we've had some questions in regards to that, just for some clarification one last time. So one of the key changes is the new element or the section within the audit called Procurement and Contractor Management. This new section features questions that were included in section 2 and section 14 of our previous audit instrument. So it's information that you have done before, just worded a little bit differently. Another key change is to the required training competencies. The requirement for training the trainer has now been replaced with hazard identification and risk control. So one of the questions we do see a lot of. So just want to go over it one more time. So if you company is already COR certified and you have the women's train the trainer course, you do not need to take any additional training. So just put the date of the course that, or the women's train the trainer course under the hazard ID for the new harmonized audit instrument, and that'll suffice. You're always welcome to obviously take the hazard ID course when it's available, but it's not a requirement for companies that are currently COR certified. Okay. New audit instrument is available in all the same formats as our previous audit was, including on our website, the online audit tool, and the binders that we do have available here at our office. Okay, and as I mentioned, November 1st. Also, all generic or general audit processes have not changed. So what I mean by this is for recertification years, companies must submit full supporting documentation. The audit must pass both an internal audit by CSAM, a CSAM safety advisor, and an independent auditor, meaning you'll have two different people visiting your job sites. For the maintenance years, supporting documentation is not required if the person completing the audit has a registered auditor status.
So there's a question here from Frank. Many of us are aware of and have subcontractor management policies, but for a development of a policy for the procurement of products, does CSAM have an example policy for us to use as a template?
Yes, we do. We can email it to you afterwards here, Frank. We'll make a note of that. It's available on our website as well, but we'll definitely email it, or get you a copy of it, the example we have. Okay. So for those of you who are not aware, registered auditor checklist, or registered auditor, I should say, is a recognized and specialty trained individual who's qualified to access an employer's safety and health management system. Okay, registered auditor status is achieved by completing the required training and the submission of a completed audit instrument with all supporting documentation. So I'm assuming majority of people that are signed in today are registered auditors or working towards it. So if you have any questions in regards to that, you can let us know. All right, so CSAM will visit at least one job site, and if the audit is an accurate representation of what we find on site, we'll issue your new letter of good standing and a copy of the site assessment form for those meeting years. If we do find significant inconsistencies while on site, you may require the full audit, including all supporting documentation, within 2 business days is what we're looking at right now. So fortunately, that's never happened yet, but just everyone, please keep that in mind. And as a reminder, again, you can submit your audit either with a hard copy format or via our online audit tool. Okay. Other electronic audit tools, it's important too, other electronic tools created by other organizations do not meet our requirements and would not be recognized as a submission here for your new audit here. Okay, and once again here, next month, only the harmonized audit tool will be accepted. Is there any other questions?
Miranda's asking, can you please email me a copy of the example policy as well? So we'll do that after the meeting. It is available on our website.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions?
Carl, I believe, can you review what the maintenance year submission looks like?
And if you're talking about obviously the online audit tool submission, yes, you can always review those once you submitted them to us. You can always go back and review previous years.
Yes, so you're submitting your audit instrument, you're still going through everything, you're just not giving us copies of the documentation within the audit. Vic, is the Harmonized audit tool the one available on the CSAM website? Yes, it is the only one available on our website, and it is the only one available if you're to start a new audit in the online audit tool as well.
Any other questions? Okay, if you're, as always, I know I've said a few times, I'll say it again. If you have any other questions moving forward or think of anything afterwards, you can always email Shelby or myself. I'll be happy to help you out. Okay, next on the agenda, CSAM staff changes. So we've had some changes in our staffing here at CSAM since we last had a COR companies meeting. As some of you are aware, Taz out of our Brandon office has moved on from her position. Christopher Lodge Zapernick from our Winnipeg office will be transitioning to our Brandon office due to this change. Michael Score has transitioned from his position as safety advisor to a marketing and communications coordinator. CSAM has also hired 2 new safety advisors, Silver Sylvester out of our Winnipeg office and Dalsha Sanagama out of our Brandon office. Silver comes to us with several years of construction experience and a certificate in the and OH&S, while Dalsha comes to us with multiple years of experience in OH&S management and administration. CSAM will also be hiring a new safety advisor for the Winnipeg office in the near future. So with these changes and several changes in addresses of our companies we've had lately here, we've had to make a slight update on our geographical assignments for our Winnipeg CSAM advisors. Here is a copy of the new map of the updated assignments. So our new employee, once hired, will take over the area in yellow, including St. James, Assiniboine, Seven Oaks, and rurally north of number 1 west and west of number 9. Silver will be covering Inkster and downtown and is shown here in red on the map. Laura will continue to cover St. Boniface and Transcona and take over River East and Kildonan, east of the Red River. Her rural assignment will not change much with the addition of East St. Paul and Springfield. She is purple on the map here. Ray will continue to cover Fort Garry, St. Vital, and anything rurally south of number 1 and number 15, but also take over River Heights. So Ray is green here on the map. And Adam will also continue to serve his companies in the Morden Winkler area, those stars that you see there. If you're unsure of your company's designated CSAM advisor, after this meeting, email myself or Shelby. We will help you out and just confirm where your or who your advisor, safety advisor is. Okay. Any questions on that?
And that was red is on the map. I go back.
Yeah.
That red in Inkster downtown area is Silver's assigned area. Shane has asked, has any consideration been given to allow COR reciprocity to companies with ISO 45,000?
The answer is yes, consideration was, but we're not doing it. So this comes back from a while ago regarding the certification process through the SAFEWork Certified. They had asked, well, how about recognizing ISO? ISO is an international standard based on a documentation and validation of a safety and health management system. COR has been developed for the construction industry by construction employers, and it validates documentation, observation, and interviews. It's the national standard, and it meets the automatic qualification for the WCB prevention rebate. So the long and the short answer is it was thought about, but ISO does not do what COR actually does. And there is a slight consideration to show or to guide ISO companies how they can achieve COR, but there's definitely no equivalency in place for ISO to COR.
Any other questions? Okay, next on the agenda, CSAM activities and updates. So far in 2023, we have 18 new COR companies, 5 new SECOR companies, and 41 new COR equivalencies. We completed 451 audits and verification reviews, 260 independent audits, and 173 site assessments. We currently have a total of 954 COR and SECOR certified companies.
Sorry, Keith, there is a question from Diane. If supporting documentation is not required for maintenance year's audits, then how would this be reflected in the online audit tool? I'll answer that. The online audit tool, whether you choose maintenance or recertification, will look the exact same in the instrument, and we'll still have the option there to upload files. However, the difference being, if you choose a maintenance audit, it will let you progress through without uploading anything. But if you choose a recertification audit and you give yourself points for any documentation questions, there must be a file uploaded. So the online audit tool is super easy for and a good resource for those companies doing maintenance audits, because everything is right there. You're checking off everything, you're not missing anything or unsure of what you need to submit. You can just go through the audit instrument via the online tool.
And always contact yourselves or your safety advisor in your area to help you. We'll always make time to either come out, virtual meeting, phone, whatever you need to make sure that you're completing it the proper way and within the year and clicking off the right information on an online audit, the online audit instrument, the online audit tool. Okay. Quality assurance here for CSAM. So far in 2023, CSAM has completed 173 site assessments. 140 of those had no actions required. 33 had corrective actions and 0 had required or did require a spot audit. So that's 81% of our site assessments that require no further actions. So that's great news. So great job to our companies ensuring that our core program standards are being met and maintained. So thank you once again. Thank you, everybody.
Drafting is asking, can the procurement policy link be provided? I believe it is under our training resources and under principles of safety management, section 14. But we can, if you want to send myself or Keith an email after this, we can send it to you as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, next, COR COR certified companies. So since our last meeting, CSAM has certified 23 new COR and SECOR companies. So our new core companies are Ball Roofing and Exteriors, Benny Developers, Boost Developments, Brault Roofing, Brooksdale Plumbing and Heating, Clean Energy Manitoba Electrical Group Limited, Clintar Landscaping Management, Everett Construction Group, Evolution Home Builders, Foamtex, SW Business Solutions Canada Inc., Garnet Construction Limited, JK Homes and Building Enterprises, Northland Industries Limited, Priority Environmental, PSD Integration, Securitas Technology Canada Corporation, Servco Scaffolding, Silver Dirt Works, Swift Underground, Todd and Sargent, Triple E Developments, Vibe Construction, and 10082-730 Manitoba Limited. Okay, so we have some milestones here. So since our last core meeting, there are 45 companies celebrating 10 years of certification with CSAM. So I'll go through them as quick as I can here. They include 5713-961 Manitoba, A&B Builders, Lumina Safeway, Arkweld Industries, B-Rock Scaffolding, Ben Swatsky Electric, Bestway Fence Systems, Cancade Resolution, DA Lone Electric, D. Nicola Enterprises, EDA Mechanical Services, FD Woodworks Limited, Federated Co-op Limited, Frontier Refrigeration and Mechanical Limited, Glass 8 Inc., Gower Electric and Elevator Services, Hillside Construction, Horizon Glass, J&M Industries, J5 Construction, J&M Roofing, V-Rock Landscaping, sorry. JML Roofing Renovations, Callahoan Projects, Kelgel Electric, Lakehead Towers, Maple Leaf Drilling, Marbeck Construction, Millennium Mechanical Contracting, Mudruckers, Nasta Construction, Energy Management, Paddock Drilling, Pine Creek Homes, Point West Electric, Purkis Electric, Reliant Comfort Limited, Schmidt Lab Crane Rentals, Sean Anderson Demolition, Southern Comfort Mechanical, Sussex Electric, Syscon Computer Consultants, Data Voice Cabling, Taylor Oilfields, Tripower Electric, True Energy, Ballard Construction, and Westman Scrap Metal. We also have two companies that have achieved 20 years of COR certification with us. So they are Conpro Industries Canada Limited and T&D Enterprises Limited, operate as Westcan Group of Companies. So congratulations to all our milestone companies, new companies, and new companies. Okay. Next, item 6 on our agenda is new business. So new business will include CSAM Safety Conference, Safety Pass, training standards. We'll talk about safeties, upcoming training courses, regional training dates, and upcoming free webinar. First, CSAM Safety Conference. So everyone here today, mark your calendars. The largest construction safety event in North America and Canada's premier construction safety conference is back. So we're thrilled to announce the dates of our 2024 CSAM Safety Conference, hosted by us, your Construction Safety Association Manitoba, will be February 14th, 2024. So join us for 2 invaluable training courses or days of training, including insights and a great exhibition trade show. Perfect opportunity, as always, to enhance your safety knowledge and connect with like-minded professionals. So save the date and to be part of something big. Definitely keep looking at our website, constructionsafety.ca. We will have updates on this shortly, and we will have access to signing up to our website from there for the CSAM Safety Conference.
So there's a question here from Darcy. I'm not sure about everyone else, but I'm finding the various third-party safety verification systems like ISN, Networld, Avita, and others to be very time-consuming. Is there any plan or framework that will allow COR certified companies to be certified with these providers?
Darcy, that's a very good question, and I think this isn't something new. And I think the reason why COR was actually developed, again, we're a long time that COR's been in place since 2000, and so the last 23 years, COR has been used as basically a condition of tender or condition of contract for a lot of the projects. And more legislation has come into play to require owners of land or building to have a criteria for the evaluation, selection, and then monitoring. And that's why COR is being asked, because it is a very effective system. Over the last decade or so, more third parties have realized that safety is actually a good business for them. So they've created software programs that scroll jurisdictional workplace safety and health legislation requirements, and then they talk to the owner saying that, hey, you know what, we can actually ensure that you meet your legislative obligations by, we will confirm if these people meet the regulatory standards. So ISN Networld has done a very good job in terms of convincing some owners that their system works. And owners, again, they have the they do what they want to do, and they've been convinced of this. And then the ISN and the third parties, they also suggest to the owners that it costs them nothing, that they'll ensure that whoever's on their list of bidders and or the contractors working for them are meeting the requirements that are set in place. So the long and the short of it is that we do not actually really get overly involved with this, because it's more of a, I think, a tiresome, as you mentioned, process to go through to confirm and validate that you're meeting legislative requirements for the majority of the third party or people. We did have conversation with ISN Networld, and we were again not really overly interested in supporting that system or process. However, in understanding that these things aren't actually going away, there is now checklists within ISN Networld. I know in contractor compliance, I think is another one, that once you say that you're COR certified, it skips a bunch of questions that you have to add and put in place. Obviously, it doesn't, in our opinion, doesn't answer all the questions that they're asking. They're still make you put a whole bunch of documentation, upload a whole bunch of different stuff. But the long and the short, Darcy, these third-party providers have convinced the owners that, hey, it's a good thing for them to do, and unfortunately, some of them recognize COR, and some of them are, again, they're just in the business to make money. So the long and the short, we know COR, it is the only empirically evaluated system of occupational health and safety in place. It's been evaluated by the University of BC in BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Ontario, as effective to actually identify and reduce incidents and costs by on average 15 to 30%. So long answer to that, but that's what it is.
Awesome, okay. Next on the our new business here is the safety pass, and over to Sean here. He's gonna
Yeah,
put
just
up-
a super fast update regarding the safety pass from our CSAM advisory committee. Some of the local contractors have requested our safety pass and potentially site ready MB if there's an opportunity to translate it into another language, and the language requested was Ukrainian. So we have gone and completed an update to the CSAM safety pass, and along with that update, we have a version that is available in Ukrainian. So if you're interested in that, we haven't posted it to our website as of yet, because we're also in process of updating our new Shield database, and we're going to tie it into that. That's going to have everything available to you. But if you are interested in CSAM the Safety Pass Ukrainian, please email our training or training manager, Megan. So it's megan@constructionsafety.ca, and just request Ukrainian, and she will actually send you the link for you and your employees to take the Ukrainian CSAM Safety Pass.
Perfect.
Yeah, and the other area, just going to walk through quickly, and I think this highlights. Oh, hang on, sir, we got a question in the chat. Is site ready?
There's a few. Is site ready MB the new safety pass?
Yes and no. So the safety pass is a general they're both intended to do the same thing. It's a general orientation to construction, the hazards, and what to actually do to try to control it. The safety pass was put in place and has been put in place again for over a decade now. It's about an hour to 2 hour online orientation. Site Ready MB is a lot more in-depth, and it's probably a 4 to 6 hour online training program. So depending on what you want, the generalized is the safety pass. Site Ready does cover everything that's within the safety pass, plus it goes into a lot of detail, and you also receive certification in your WMIS global harmonized system. So you get 2 certificates or 2 training certificates if you take Site Ready MB, not just Site Ready MB, but you also get the WMIS included within Site Ready MB. So it isn't the same. It's a way more robust program with a lot more detail that's included.
As there's another question here, what about Energy Safety Canada COR? My understanding is the program is accepted in BC, Alberta, and Saskatchewan for full COR and reciprocity in Manitoba without having to complete additional audits in those provinces. Can you please confirm this is correct?
That is not correct. Whoever's asking, Lisa. So Energy Safety Canada, so the challenge COR itself, COR is a national program that has a registered trademark under the Canadian Federation of Construction Safety Associations. So it originated in Alberta, and that's why Energy Safety Canada, which is mainly in Alberta, they have also called their program COR, and the government of Alberta has also utilized the COR program as the development of their Partners in Injury Reduction program. And then they have 14 certifying partners of COR. So that's just one of the Energy Safety Canada is just one of the sectors that is part of that Partners in Injury Reduction, but the COR program itself is only reciprocal amongst the Canadian Federation of Construction Safety Associations. So the intention behind that is that COR is COR, it's a national standard, and it's only the Canadian Federation that is implementing the national accreditation standard properly. If you look at the Energy Safety Canada COR program, similar to what WorkSafe BC, they call their prevention rebate program COR as well. It is not the national COR program. So it's a big challenge because people are getting confused. It's like the crowd attracts the crowd. COR works, COR is a great program. Other people are trying to jump on it and utilize it. And now trying to spread it out, saying, hey, you get COR certified or Energy Safety Canada, you're COR certified in Alberta, no problem, you get equivalency in BC. There is a route to do that. Again, within Alberta, if they get the recognition of their COR program meeting the national accreditation program of the actual COR program through the Alberta Construction Safety Association. If your COR is through Alberta, then it is recognized in any other jurisdiction in Canada. So if you're COR through any of the construction safety associations in the whatever province that you're actually working in or territory, it will be recognized and given reciprocity automatically. Just filling out some forms through your host construction safety association in any other province, providing that you do not have a base of operations in the jurisdiction you're asking it for. So, and again, all of the work that we've actually done under the Canadian Federation, upgrading the national accreditation standard, providing the same harmonized auditing template, and 11 of the 13 jurisdictions are actually utilizing the same audit template that we are actually using, makes that much easier if you're jumping from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So a long answer to that, Lisa, but a good question. And reciprocity for COR 100% is across Canada through the Canadian Federation of Construction Safety Associations. Okay. So the training standards, so similar to what Dwight and Darren were talking about in terms of some of the high injuries that are actually happening from working at heights to asbestos and melatonium, or I'm not even going to try to pronounce that word. There's training standards that have been created here in Manitoba. So the Manitoba Safety and Health Training Standards Council has created and implemented the Manitoba Safety and Health Training Standards Program. And there are currently 8 high hazard activities that have training standards that have been created, and they're being supported and promoted by SAFEWork as their SAFEWork endorsed training or their branding behind that. And that's working at heights, confined space, excavation and trenching, machine guarding. Asbestos has 3 standards grading, one for just awareness, one for people that may be exposed, and one for workers that are required for the abatement. There's also one for scaffolding, and currently being developed is elevated work platforms. So there's a lot of good things that are actually happening. And if you're interested in the Manitoba Safety and Health Training Standards, SAFEWork Manitoba as a communication arm of the government. They're actually promoting the standards themselves, and with their participation on the Manitoba Safety and Health Training Standards Council, they are accepting the applications if you want to have your program be accredited to the training standard and or you're a provider of the training standard. So the only thing that I'm going to bring in place, and I don't want to muddy the waters too much, but SAFEWork has also launched a training portal. So they're trying to promote safety and health training activities here in Manitoba. And unbeknownst to us at the time, one of the requirements to recognize as a training provider of any of these accredited standards under the Manitoba Safety and Health Training Standards is you have to participate in the portal. So obviously CSAM has a very robust learner management system, including your own very detailed client portal to keep track and records of all of that. And we have not, as of yet, participated on the training portal. All of our courses, working at height, confined space, excavation and trenching, and asbestos, we are accredited training providers. We're just not being promoted on SAFEWork Manitoba's website as such. So there's a lot of good things that are in place. And if you're interested, obviously, where your go-to for safety and health for the construction industry, we'll take care of it for you. No problem. Excuse me.
Sure. Thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda, the safeties. So safeties are celebrating workplace safety and health in Manitoba. Or celebrate, let's celebrate workplace safety and health in Manitoba with your colleagues in industry at the Safeties Gala. This year's gala will be held on Wednesday, November 1st, 2023 at the Victoria Inn Hotel and Convention Center. So the Safeties is an event where several Manitoba safety organizations present awards to individuals and organizations for their achievements in occupational health and safety. It is a one-of-a-kind opportunity to recognize those who are making our workplace healthier and safer at one signature event. So to register, still a couple weeks here, so to register, please visit the www.thesafeties.ca. And obviously more information. So
There's two questions here. The first, I believe, from the training standards we were talking about, from EOR. There is a big difference between residential scaffold and tube and clamp and system scaffold requirements. This was discussed several years ago when the standard was being created. Is this addressed?
So the standard itself for access, it's for access scaffolding. So generally speaking, it is going to make sure that the people, or the training is standard for people and supervisors utilize scaffolds working in connection with access scaffolding in the workplace. So again, it's not necessarily just the A-frame kind of ladders or the scaffolding that's put in place, but it goes through the whole gamut regarding the erection, inspection, use, and dismantling of any type of access scaffolding. So it does include a small portion of it. It isn't geared directly towards residential scaffolding systems that are in place. And again, I utilize the example of the A-frame type scaffolding most often seen. But tube and clamp, yes, for sure, that's included within it. And again, going through all of the information, all of the standard itself is posted on the SAFEWork Manitoba's website. So you can actually pull the standard to see what all the learning objectives are, what the definitions in place for each of them. And that'll give you a lot more information and detail. So it was addressed, but it's not the focus of the standard. And again, just going back to EOR, when you're going back to looking at there's a matrix that was put in place to why do we have we developed these training standards, and looking at the majority of the information or the falls that are coming in place, not necessarily just from the residential, more the falls are coming off roofs and different type of areas, and also some of the access scaffolding that is higher that wasn't actually properly installed. So long story short to that, it was considered, but the main focus again is on the access scaffolding, not necessarily the work platforms. And that's part of that. Your question dealing with the residential type scaffolding, that's where the new standard that's being put in place dealing with elevated work platforms, that's more so where residential type scaffolding will be addressed under the elevated work platforms. That's a new standard that's being put in place. The scaffolding right now, again, it should have stated properly access scaffolding, not just the scaffolding used as a work platform.
And then there's another question here for the safeties. Is it in Winnipeg or Brandon? It will be the Winnipeg Victoria Inn Hotel and Convention Center.
yeah, in Winnipeg, yeah. Okay, upcoming CSAM training courses. Right, so go over these quickly. October 19th, hazard identification risk control out of Winnipeg. October 31st, principal safety management, which will be in Winnipeg and virtual. November 1st, safety auditor out of Winnipeg. November 8th, leadership for safety excellence, Winnipeg and virtual. November 16th, hazard identification and risk control, Winnipeg and virtual. So that's just the brief ones that are coming up there for the next few weeks here. Always, if you would like to look farther ahead and sign up for any of our courses, please check out our website, constructionsafety.ca. Visit the training dates tab while on our homepage. CSAM also has some upcoming regional training days. So we'll be returning to Thompson October 23rd, 24th, so next week. We'll be offering a comprehensive lineup of in-person safety training courses vital to Manitoba workplaces, or Manitoba workplaces, should say. All courses will be conducted at the University College of the North, so UCN campus, which is located at 55 UCN Drive in Thompson. Again, sign up for that. Check out our website or you can email Megan at constructionsafety.ca. We'll be happy to send you the links and give you the information in detail. CSAM will be hosting an upcoming webinar on occupational exposure risk assessments, lunch and learn. So this seminar is designed to provide you with some of the practical steps that should be considered during pre-construction planning and during construction renovations and demolition projects to accurately assess the risk of occupational exposure to hazardous substances. The session will cover some of the common equipments, tools, and hazardous building materials that may have significant impact on your construction projects. And the session will also cover some of the key regulatory requirements, as well as requirements for risk assessment, SAFEWork procedures, engineering controls, personal protective equipment, and exposure monitoring. The webinar will be held October 31st from 12 until 1, and it's free to our members. We do ask that you are going to participate. Please sign up for it in advance. So visit our website, constructionsafety.ca again, and to sign up and any more information in regards to that.
That's a Monday,
Yeah, our apologies. It is the 31st of October.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, it should say Tuesday, October 31st, so we'll
Should say Tuesday.
get that updated.
Halloween. There you go.
Yes.
All right. Perfect. Okay, that's all through our new information and everything right now. Are there any other questions? Well, first I'll say our next spring core meeting will be held in April 2024. And as always, for those who've been here before, we definitely will be sending out reminders and on social media and let you know when the date is going to be. And as a reminder as well, if you have not already done so, please type your name, company name into the chat for our records to show that you have attended. Definitely we'll put that up there for you. So it's good to always show that you have viewed our chat and been part of our meeting today. So any other questions? Hey, not seeing any right now. Again, want to thank you for today. We will stay online for 5 or 10 minutes afterwards. Just if you have any other questions, and for those of you participants still signing in. And as always, if you think of anything after the fact here, just email myself, Keith at constructionsafety.ca, or Shelby at constructionsafety.ca, and we'll be happy to work you through or answer any other questions you need. So once again, thank you very much to everybody, and have a great rest of the day.